So as we're all getting settled in, I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for Muse+Connect's last free live event of this year. It's so nice to see a lot of familiar faces, and a big welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. My name is Vera. I'm the general manager of both Paris Muse and Muse+Connect. I'm originally from New Orleans, but have lived in France since 2012. And I've been fortunate enough to work with Paris Muse since 2017. So tonight we'll be joined by one of our amazing docents, Julien Savadoux, and we will take a nighttime stroll around Paris, taking in the beautiful holiday lights. We'll start off with the magical window displays of the Printemps and Galeries Lafayette department stores, and we'll end in the Tuileries gardens at the Marché de Noël, or in English, the Christmas market. So to set a little bit of the mood, currently here in Paris, it's 6 degrees Celsius, which is 42 degrees Fahrenheit, and it has a touch of wind. So Julien, I'll leave it to you to transport our guests tonight virtually to Paris.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Vera. And thank you for joining me on this program where I want to take you see the beautiful Christmas lights in Paris. I think it's the perfect time to go through Paris and to go see the windows at the department stores, like so many people are doing today, with the holiday season coming up very soon. And as Vera said, I want to take you first see the beautiful displays at the Galeries Lafayette and at the Printemps, the two largest and maybe the two most famous department stores in the city. In Paris. So let me just turn the camera back onto the city right now. Yes. Whoops. Sorry about that. And we're good. We're good to go now. We're set. So I just need to cross the street because I'm just across the street from the Printemps, which is one of the oldest department stores in the city, really. It was founded in the 1860s at a time of tremendous economic growth. And so the department stores were a brand new thing back in the 19th century. They were huge shops, and there are still huge shops where people could browse through different items, luxurious items, fashion, interior design, homeware. I mean, thousands and thousands of people still go to the department stores. And it's also a place where families love to go to on weekends during the holiday season. You will see it will be very busy, so I will try to make my way through the crowds. I can see that it's not as busy as I thought it would be, actually. I thought it would be even more packed than what I see from here, but it is busy. So bear with me, and I'll try to show you some of the beautiful displays, because really it's the displays that are very famous at the Printemps, at the Galeries Lafayette, the different brands, the fashion houses, the famous brands selling fashion, homeware, as I said, have the best displays that you can find in the city during this time of the year. So for example, you can see a lot of people are standing in front of this beautiful display by Chanel. So you can see the elves, Santa Claus helps, and they're getting the perfumes of Chanel No. 5 ready for Christmas. Try to get a little closer if I can. I think the Printemps really did a great job with the lights, as you can see just above. You see the beautiful stars. They're turning from gold to blue, and then from blue to gold again. It's one of the, you need to think, and I should have said that before, but in my introduction, but I'm actually here in the heart of the shopping area in Paris. We call it the Upper House area, Upper House neighborhood, because it's centered around the big Upper House. And I will show you, of course, a bit of the Upper House in a few minutes. And so it's a big business district in Paris, lots of offices. Of course, the big department stores, the Printemps and the Galeries Lafayette. And it might sound a little odd, but the two largest department stores in Paris are actually located next to each other on Boulevard Haussmann, which is a huge boulevard running east-west through the city. I'm trying to get closer to another window. I think it's really pretty. It's talking about homeware, porcelain, china. See the elves again, busy setting the tables for Christmas Eve, which is a big celebration here in France. What families do is that they gather for a big dinner on Christmas Eve. Of course, families will stay together for Christmas Day, the 25th, but the 24th is actually a very important date on the calendar for many families across the country. People travel starting the 23rd, maybe even the 22nd. Parisians who have families in the countryside, who need to have to meet friends and family in the countryside. The train stations are very busy, and the night of the 24th is really a very special moment during the holiday season, just as Christmas Day is for many of you in the US. This is where it gets really busy and it gets really crowded. They have tiny platforms where the kids can climb. I can't even show you the platform because they're really tiny platforms, and it's really a great way for kids to get real close to the windows. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And this one that I'm trying to show you, I will just try to pull up my camera, maybe a little higher. Whoops. Let me see if I could get around the corner here and show you some of the beautiful display. That's a replica of the cupola, the dome, which is the architecture of the Printemps. The Printemps is not just a large and famous department store in the city, but it's also a beautiful department store. The building dates back to the very beginning of the 20th century. I'm trying to show you a bit more of that beautiful cupola on top. The architecture inside the Printemps was refurbished a few years ago. So the Printemps looks a little more modern than the Galeries Lafayette. The Galeries Lafayette is the next stop on our program. And the Galeries Lafayette is definitely the most famous and the largest, even larger than the Printemps. Largest department store, prestigious department store in the city. It's actually set on 3 different buildings. There's a building for men, the men's building, which is right here. I'm actually getting closer to the men's building. It's set in a building that was built in the 1930s, so it's an Art Deco. There's nothing special about the building itself or the men's building. The real beauty of the Galeries Lafayette is in the main building with the architecture of the 1900s. There's a beautiful Art Nouveau decor inside the Galeries Lafayette. Whenever you're in Paris, I really suggest you go have a look at the inside of the Galeries Lafayette. It's just outstanding in terms of architecture. Even if you're not thinking of doing any shopping inside the Galeries Lafayette, I think it's really worth going and see the beautiful cupola on top. I mean the inside of the cupola, which is made of stained glass windows and colored stained glass windows. Just across the street, I told you that the Galeries Lafayette is set on 3 different buildings. And so that's the food building, homeware, interior design, and food building. The Lafayette Gourmet, as we call it in Paris. It's a great place to shop for food, delicacies. They have stalls with the best pastry chefs in the city. Really great stalls for food on set on 3 different floors. So really worth go and check some of the items inside the food building at the Galeries Lafayette. So this is where it gets a little more challenging because the Galeries Lafayette, I think, will be even busier than the Printemps. The windows at the Galeries Lafayette, the displays are just amazing this year. They're very bright and colorful, and I hope I can show you a bit of it. Hope the connection is still good because when it gets very crowded, in fact, sometimes the connection drops a little bit, but I'm sure we'll be fine. And in the meantime, Vera, if you have any questions popping up in the box on the side for me, feel free to share some of the questions of our viewers with me. I can maybe answer on the way to the Galeries Lafayette. Ooh, it looks like
there is one question, Julien, if you can hear me, is talking about the Advent calendars that we have here.
Sure.
Can you talk more about and tell us more about
the Advent calendar? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Advent calendar is another tradition. It's pretty big in France. It's declined in different versions now. I say the very traditional Advent calendar that you would find mostly in the past was the chocolate Advent calendar. And now you get many versions. The tea Advent calendar. You can also make your own Advent calendar. You see people who make their own Advent calendar with a new surprise popping up every day. So yeah, absolutely. The Advent calendar is another big tradition. And I'd say it's a big tradition all over France, not just in certain regions of the country. Like the wreath, the Christmas wreath with the candles. That's more a tradition that you would find in Eastern France, in Alsace, Strasbourg, Colmar. And I'll be talking more about Strasbourg and Colmar when I get to the Christmas market, because the Christmas market is really a tradition coming from the East, coming from Germany, and coming from that beautiful part of the country in France, Alsace, Strasbourg and Colmar having the most beautiful Christmas markets in the country. I'm actually just outside the Galeries Lafayette. The gorgeous displays, very bright and colorful, as I said, very busy, lots of colors. There's more I want to show you. Talking about the Advent calendar, I think that they have right here, they have a window, which is basically just like an Advent calendar. You see the different boxes and animations inside on screens, on tiny screens. Just set like the display is just like an Advent calendar. I think they also have a beautiful table, Christmas table over there. With beautiful homeware and crystal glasses. The champagne is on the table. And I think the motto this year is 1, 2, 3, Christmas, Noël in French. And the word Christmas in French is Noël, which is of course, the word that we use for Christmas. So I will cross over now over to the Opera House. I can show you the beautiful Christmas tree standing outside the Galeries Lafayette. I think the Christmas tree is really outstanding this year. The decorations, I'd say, all over the city are just beautiful and outstanding. I think it really has to do with the fact that we couldn't celebrate Christmas and the holiday season as normal last year, of course, because of the COVID crisis. And I think people are trying to make up for what was lost last year, trying to revive the city with beautiful decorations and trying to get together to celebrate the holiday season together. And just, yeah.
And Julien, can you let us know how long the Christmas decorations have been up as well?
Yeah, they've been up for about 3 weeks. Usually they start putting up the decorations end of November, the second half of November, let's say, yeah? Third week, sometimes fourth week, depending on the stores. The Printemps really started early, mid-November, and the Galeries Lafayette followed up close, end of November. So yes, this is usually the time of the year when they start putting up the decorations all over the city. See the beautiful trees with the lights. Leaving the Boulevard Haussmann just behind me and it will be easier to navigate here around the Opera House. It is still crowded, but not as crowded as it is outside the department store. So I'm just walking around the Opera House, which is one of the exceptional landmarks of the city. We call it a palace, in fact. We call it Palais Garnier. It's considered a palace, and it really is. Garnier is the name of the architect who built the Opera House for Napoleon III in the 1860s. The Opera House was inaugurated in 1875, and it's one of the most incredible opera houses in the world, if not the #1 opera house in the world, because many opera houses were copied after the Opera House in Paris. We have 2 opera houses, so don't be misled when you're in Paris, because there's the old opera house, which is the building that I will show you now. We'll show you more of the opera house. It's huge. I'm still walking around the opera house. It can sit 2,500 people inside in the inside the building, and of course all the very famous lyrical singers, opera singers, have come and still come to Paris to perform on the stage of the Opéra Garnier. And here is the bust statue of Charles Garnier, the architect. This is the imperial gate that was laid for the emperor and the empress, so that they could, you see, the carriage could go up, take the imperial family into the building, and they could just step out of the carriage inside the building that was built for safety reasons. And then on top, you see the beautiful golden statues that were just regilded a few years ago. So a huge building dedicated to music. The largest statue on the roof of the Opera House is a statue of God Apollo, God of the arts, God of music. And of course, it's a temple of the arts and a temple of music, a temple of the theater, temple of music, and temple of dance with the beautiful ballets. The Opera Garnier has all the ballets played in Paris. The second opera house that was built in the 1980s, the Bastille Opera, was for the lyrical operas. Even though you can still go see lyrical operas at the Garnier, mostly Baroque operas of the ghosts. Of course, that's great in the evening, especially during this time of the year, during the holiday season. Go see the Nutcracker, for example, which is often on the program at the Opera Garnier, of course. A ballet's favorite, many people's favorite. But you can also, even if you don't want to go see a show at night, a performance at night, I can hear street entertainers playing music just outside the Opera House. And I can see it's open, so it means that there's a performance tonight. So even if you're not going to see a performance at night, I suggest go tour the Opera House during the day. It's really, it's one of my favorite buildings in Paris, landmark monuments, I should say, really, huh? And it's just gorgeous. It's really special. The inside is absolutely lavish. It's all crimson red velvet and gold. The best artist of the time of the 19th century painted the ceiling of the hallway, which is the most incredible gallery you'll see in France or in Paris, outside Versailles. The stage, you'll get a chance to see the stage on the tour given every day. It's pretty easy to get a ticket and to tour the Opera House. The tour is, I'd say usually it's 1 hour. So really a great way to spend a rainy afternoon in Paris. You're in the area, you go tour the Opera House, and then you can, of course, do some shopping at the Galeries Lafayette and the Printemps. And just across from the Opera House, there's a cafe I want to show you because, of course, Paris is famous for all the beautiful cafes. Those cafes are right here on the boulevards, the avenues, the big Opera Square, because the boulevards were built to be a place for strolling. And Paris is a city of strolling. And so whenever you feel tired of walking the great avenues and boulevards of the city, you can always stop for a coffee, a tea, a hot chocolate at Café de la Paix, which is a very famous cafe. It's really, it retains the atmosphere of the Gilded Age in Paris of the 1900s, La Belle Époque, as we call it in French. Many famous writers, famous people went to Café de la Paix. They also have a beautiful Christmas tree, as you can see. So really a great way to, again, skip the rain on a rainy afternoon, get a table, have some pastries maybe with your hot chocolate or tea or your coffee, and enjoy the view, because of course the cafes in Paris is all about enjoying, seeing the life of Paris on the streets, on the avenues, watch people stroll around. I'm crossing over, and here I can also, I can also take a few questions. Let me just stop here, just a second. Need to stop, we're blocked because of the, sorry about that. I have to wait. Traffic is it's pretty bad on the Opera Square. They're trying to transform some of the large squares in Paris. They started with the Republic Square in Eastern Paris, and now they also followed with the Bastille Square. So they are trying to make those squares more pedestrian friendly. They're trying to limit traffic in the city because it can get really hectic, as you see here in the Opera House area.
Julien,
yeah.
Do you find more cafes are offering outdoor seating, perhaps with heaters during the cooler weather?
Now, that's a very good question, Vera. The thing is, with the heaters outside, I need to double check. I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think a law was just passed at the city hall to forbid those heaters in the street because they emitted pollution. And also because of the rise in the electricity, I mean, the cost of electricity skyrocketed. So they're trying to limit the heaters outside on the streets. And unfortunately, yes, in the winter, you don't see so many of those seating areas that we used to see, and where you could, of course, sit and enjoy the city, especially, well, maybe not here in the Upper House because it's too busy with traffic, but in the quieter areas of Paris, in the Marais, in Saint-Germain, Parisians love sitting outside, even in the winter, with the comfort of those heaters. But yeah, I don't see them. I don't see so many sitting areas outside now, and I think it has to do with that decision made by the city hall to, yes, to forbid really the use of the heaters, of the outside heaters.
And I know that we're seeing a lot of people here on your screen, as I'm sure it's quite busy in the area where you're located. But in general, do you find that there are a lot of tourists that have been back in Paris this time of year as well?
Yes, I feel like I can see, not feel, but more than that, I can see that a lot of tourists are back to the city, back to Paris. I know that a lot of people booked their holiday vacation, the holiday season in Paris, spending Christmas in Paris, spending the New Year in Paris. I know the situation is a bit shaky at the moment still with COVID. There's a rise in a new variant, and I know that you're all aware of that. Still, restrictions are in place in Paris. When I'm talking about restrictions, I'm thinking making sure that everybody is safe, the mask, the health pass. They check the health pass as you go to cafes and restaurants, just to make sure, yes, everybody is safe. And now a lot of people are getting the booster also. And I think that many people decided to go forward with their bookings, and I don't feel that people are planning to cancel. They have planned their holiday vacation, their Christmas in Paris for a long time. So from what I see every day, I feel that Paris is still full of tourists. Maybe not as it was 2 years ago, of course not, before the crisis, but definitely busier than what it was last year, and even the beginning of the year when we still had the lockdown going on. It'll be quieter here. It'll be easier for me to navigate because this is a very exclusive area in Paris, a very luxurious area, maybe if not the most luxurious area in Paris. I'm actually walking down Rue de la Paix. And Rue de la Paix, it means Peace Street, basically. And Rue de la Paix is known for the jewelry stores, the big jewelry companies. So people come from all over the world. Paris is the capital of luxury. It's the capital. It's known for the food, of course, the high gastronomy, the perfumes, but it's also known for the big jewelry houses. So when I'm thinking of the big names in the jewelry industry, I'm thinking Cartier, which is one of the oldest companies that settled here on Rue de la Paix. So I wanted to show you the original building where Cartier settled. And fortunately, it's actually undercover. It's being restored at the moment, but you see, Cartier has a lot of money to spend. So that's the scaffolding that you see. It looks like a building, so it's all fake. But they made the scaffolding look beautiful just because it's Cartier. So of course they have to show the world that Cartier is still going on big and strong in the business. And the store is currently closed. They have different locations across the city.
So just to be clear, Julien, the red awnings are actually a covering on the scaffolding, correct?
That's a cover on the scaffolding, exactly. The scaffolding are just behind those panels, which are just a way to hide the ugly scaffoldings and make the temporary construction sites a beautiful construction site. And so, yeah, so all the big names in the jewelry industry, they're all located here. Jewelry and, of course, the great watchmakers of Switzerland, Rolex, Panerai, which is Italian, I think, IWC, Swiss, Tiffany, of course, Tiffany & Co. from the US. They also have their store, their shop here in Paris on Rue de la Paix. All the big names want to be on Rue de la Paix. And I wanted to take Rue de la Paix, of course, to show you the beautiful Christmas lights. But Rue de la Paix will take us to Place Vendôme, which is, again, one of the most exclusive areas in Paris, but also one of the most beautiful squares in the city. Place Vendôme is the utmost example of French classical architecture. Place Vendôme, the square, was built for Louis XIV. Louis XIV, the Sun King. I'm sure you heard about the most famous king in French history, the one king that left Paris behind to build the most incredible chateau, the most incredible castle, the Chateau de Versailles. But Paris saw many projects going on at the time of Louis XIV to celebrate his name, to celebrate his glory. And so the greatest architect of the time, Mansart, built the Place Vendôme at the end of the 1690s for the king. And so Place Vendôme is an octagon. It's a geometrical shape. It has a geometrical shape made of 8 sides. And I'll tell you a little story here, talking about the most famous palace hotel in the world, maybe the Ritz Hotel. Let me just get to a spot on the square where I can stand and stop to show you some more of the Place Vendôme. The Christmas trees, 8 Christmas trees. 8, number 8 is very symbolic because the square has 8 sides. Those buildings that you see all around are private mansions. They were built for very wealthy aristocratic families. The 2 mansions that you see that I'm showing you now in the distance over there were owned by Antoine Crozat. He was the wealthiest man in the kingdom at the time of Louis XIV. He bought 2 because he bought 1 for himself and 1 for his son-in-law, the man that had married his daughter. And next to those 2 beautiful mansions, the Ritz Hotel. just behind the lamppost and the Christmas trees. Again, the Ritz Hotel that gave the word Ritzy, the most luxurious Palace Hotel that you could find in Paris, maybe the most prestigious. Many famous people stayed at the Ritz Hotel. I'm thinking Coco Chanel, Miss Chanel. The original Chanel store is just behind the Ritz Hotel. She had private access into the hotel from the Rue Cambon. The store is located, the original store where she worked, where she created, where she designed all the outfits, is just behind. And so she had direct access from the street into the Ritz Hotel, where she lived during World War II. The Ritz Hotel is also famous for some American writers, and I'm thinking Ernest Hemingway. The bar in the Ritz Hotel is named after him. So if you go for cocktails at the Ritz Hotel when you are in Paris, you'll be having cocktails at the Hemingway bar. Hemingway, when he came back to Paris after the Second World War, also stayed at the Ritz, and he would go there also for drinks. So Hemingway left a mark and his name here on Place Vendôme at the Ritz Hotel. And finally, and sadly, Princess Diana spent her last night at the Ritz Hotel before boarding getting into the car that crashed in a tunnel near the Eiffel Tower in 1997. At the very center of the square, there's a column, which is a Napoleonic column. So you may wonder, Julien just told us that the square was built for Louis XIV, so it would make sense to have a statue of Louis XIV at the very center of the square. It was the case until the French Revolution. The statue was melted down, it was taken down, and at the time of Napoleon decided to replace it with a column that was cast with the metal from the cannons used at the Battle of Austerlitz. So of course, he wanted to celebrate his greatest battle, the Battle of Austerlitz. And in fact, it is copied after the column of the Trajan's column in Rome, the column that celebrated Emperor Trajan's battles. And Napoleon, who compared himself to the ancient Roman emperors, did the same, because you see frieze reliefs recounting the great deeds of Napoleon at Austerlitz. And there's a statue of Napoleon right on top of the column. And finally, all around us, the big names again in jewelry, because Place Vendôme is Jewelry Square in Paris. So again, very wealthy international tourists who stay at the Palace Hotels not far from the square go shop at Boucheron, Van Cleef & Arpels. Van Cleef & Arpels was the first jewelry company, jewelry house to settle on the square in 1906. Cartier, I told you, was settled earlier on the Rue de la Paix, but on the square, it's Van Cleef & Arpels. We settled first, Chanel, fine jewelry also. They have a separate store for the fine jewelry. And Chaumet, Dior, all the big names that you could name, many of them, all located here on the square or near the square. Louis Vuitton, I'm sure you're familiar with the very famous Louis Vuitton brand. A house, a luxurious fashion house, just bought a private mansion on the square. I will get closer and I will show you. I think I can also show you, just because I told you that those buildings were private mansions for the wealthy families. And maybe you can see through the windows, and I will try to get closer to the Chaumet building, because on the, what we'd call the first floor, but that would be the second floor for you in the US, through the windows, you'll see the beautiful chandeliers, painting on the ceiling, the columns, the gilded columns, and the gold on the wainscoting on the wall. That was a typical interior in the at the beginning of the 18th century, when those private mansions were built and delivered to and sold to the wealthy noble families.
Julien, what is that big piece of red art?
Yes, I know, exactly. I knew I would get the question I was about to tell you. Of course, it stands in sharp contrast with the rest of the square. It's the flying dragon. I think it dates back to 1975. It's a temporary work of art. What happens here at the Place Vendôme is the City Hall is trying to bring in modern art and contemporary art onto the square. So every year, a new artist is invited to display one of his famous works of art on Place Vendôme. And it was decided this year, it's the Flying Dragon, the Red Dragon by Calder. That's the name of the artist. Some of the works of art are very controversial. There's a great debate among Parisians. Of course, there's many Parisians who love contemporary art and are in favor of displaying of such displays on Place Vendôme, and people who oppose the contemporary works of art because they consider that it's just too different. It stands again and almost in harsh contrast to the rest of the square and its beautiful architecture of the reign of the time of Louis XIV. Just over there, that's the Louis Vuitton building. I told you. So they bought the whole building and they refurbished on the inside to make it another one of their stores in the city. The one thing I like, the one thing I think is really beautiful, what they did at the building, the modern decor, something modern, but I think that suits the building is I will show you, they added a giant golden sun on the facade of the building. I need to cross to show you. I will do so now. Crossing a lot of streets on this tour, and so maybe I could use this program to tell you to be careful. I mean, it's fine. Drivers know they have to stop, but some drivers, of course, will push through, force their way. But normally you're entitled to cross whenever you feel like it, and drivers should stop, and more so, of course, at the lights, traffic lights. So the bus just stopped here, but yes, that's the beautiful radiating sun by Louis Vuitton on the beautiful mansion at Place Vendôme. You see the part of the sun in gold and the rays radiating from the sun all over the facade of the building. So it continues here with more shots, but it's not so much about Chopard or Graff that I want to tell you about, because this is again some more jewelry, but there's some other stores that you can find. Rue Saint-Honoré is another big shopping thoroughfare through the city. Lots of fashion. Rue Saint-Honoré. Of course, Place Vendôme and Rue de la Paix are very expensive stores to shop at. But I'd say there's a selection of interesting stores right here in the passageway where I'm standing now. There's Annie Goutal. I told you Paris is the city of perfumes, and Annie Goutal is a great perfume creator, perfume designer. They have a great selection of fragrances, and they have great sales assistants who can help you find the perfect fragrance according to your taste and according to your personality. And they also offer to create a unique fragrance. So Annie Goutal, a real French perfumer, and I think it's a great place to shop for perfumes in Paris. La Durée, I don't think I need to tell you about La Durée. I'm sure many of you have heard about La Durée or been to La Durée before. They are famous for the macaroons. I think they have great flavors. I personally like the macaroons at La Durée. I know that many Parisians will tell you, oh, La Durée is very touristy. There's other and better places to shop for macaroons in Paris. I don't totally agree with that. I mean, there's other great pastry shops for macaroons, that's for sure, across the city. But I really think that La Durée has a good macaroons. I think, yes, again, as I said, the flavors, especially when you want to get the traditional flavors. I think they're really good. They have a beautiful display for Christmas. I think it's a nice combination of green and gold here in the window. So that's another shop to check on your way to the Tuileries garden coming from Place Vendôme. Of course, there's more of the fashion designers here in the passageway. The Galeries, as we call it. And maybe some of you have been on my program through the covered passageways that we did not a long time ago. And so we use the term galerie, passage couvert, covered passageways. So basically it's the same concept, same thing here. People trying to get shelter from the rain and check some of the shops in those galleries, in those passageways. I'm getting closer to the Tuileries garden now.
And to orient quickly, Julien, so directly in front of you is the Tuileries garden, correct?
That's right.
And then the Tuileries, for those who may not know, is also connected to the Louvre. So we're going direction towards the Tuileries garden to the Louvre. Yeah.
I'll remind everyone of that when I get into the Tuileries garden, but you're right, Vera, the Tuileries garden is the garden of the Louvre. It was the garden was laid out for Queen Catherine de' Medici. And I just wanted to stop here to show you a window for the greatest, well, he was voted the best pastry chef, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Cédric Grolet. He's the pastry chef at the Meurice Hotel, which is another very famous palace hotel in Paris. I really suggest you check his Instagram or Facebook page or check him online because he has the most incredible, amazing pastries. His specialty is the reproduction of fruit and flowers into pastries. And it's really outstanding. You really have to see it for your own eyes. I know that for now in the winter, because we have the mangoes coming from the exotic countries across the world, I know that he has I just checked the website the other day, he has the pictures of the mangoes. And so when you look at the picture, you think that, oh, he just took pictures of real mangoes. But then you see the other pictures and with a spoon, he cracks the mango and it pops open with meringue, vanilla custard, the mango juice. And so it's really something incredible. I know that for the Christmas season, he also has the hazelnuts, the chestnuts. They really look like actual real chestnuts. And inside it's all chocolate and praline and chestnut cream. So a great pastry chef to check.
Can you say his name one more time for me, Julien?
Yes, Cédric, that's his first name, Cédric in French, and Grolet is G-R-O-L-E-T. Cédric Grolet.
Thank you, Julien.
And so I'm just outside the Tuileries garden, and I think it will also be very busy. I could see that the market, I went to the market, it was 3 days ago. The market is, of course, it's not as busy in the weekdays as it is on the weekends. It wasn't sure until late if the market could be installed in the Tuileries garden because, of course, because of the COVID, because of the pandemic. And finally, the city hall decided to allow the Christmas market. Everybody wanted to enjoy the Christmas market. It's also a Parisian's favorite. Now, inside the Christmas market, you'll see, I don't think the security will stop me because I know that I have to wear my mask now. So I will put my mask on. You can't see me, but you'll see people wearing masks in the Christmas market. It's very busy, and so they ask people to wear the mask on the Christmas market premises. And I think they're also checking the health pass. I thought they were checking the pass, but they're just asking for the mask. So as you see, it's super crowded, it's super packed. The Christmas market is a tradition coming from Eastern Europe, from Germany mostly, And as I said, the best Christmas markets that you can find in the country here in France, they're located in Strasbourg and in Colmar. So thousands and thousands of people go to the Christmas market to shop, get ideas for Christmas, buy presents for the family, enjoy a glue wine, mulled wine, some hot drinks, some hot chocolate, some coffee, some pretzel, of course, delicious food served on the market. So I want to show you what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you some of the stalls, of course, and some of the market, because this is also where you find, and it's also where I want to end the tour, the big wheel, which is usually located on Place de la Concorde, but they decided to move the wheel into the garden, into the Tuileries this year. There's also an ice skating ring here. I see people are happy. I see smiles on people's face, and it really feels great, huh? A lot of people and a lot of the Parisians, they're trying to get back to normal as much as they can.
Julien, are the booths mostly local vendors or are they commercial vendors?
There are local vendors. They're trying to keep it independent vendors on the Christmas markets, really try to avoid the big commercial products. Now they're trying to keep those markets alive, allowing designers to join in, designers and vendors coming from different regions of France. So you can also find regional products on the market. Yeah, so from what I can see in the Christmas market in Paris this year, I think there's a great selection of products to buy, really. There's also the rides. The Christmas market is also a great place for kids. So lots of family bring the kids to the Christmas market because there's one section of a big section of the Christmas market, with the fair, actually it is, with the big rides, some attractions also for the kids here.
And,
there's a
oh, I'm sorry, Julien, to cut you off, but how late do the booths stay open typically?
I think they're open until 9, between 9 and 10 in the evening, which is pretty late. I know that in Alsace, in Strasbourg, and Colmar, they decided to shut down the stalls and the Christmas markets earlier this year. They're not open as long as they should be. Here in Paris, it's a little different. It's open a little later. So even people coming early evening, maybe some of them coming after work, bringing the kids to the Christmas market, they still have some time to enjoy the markets and not rush because of closing times. It's a big market, I have to say. It really feels like it's bigger. It's a bigger market than the other years, from what I remember. Really, they did something tremendous this year. And again, I think it was really the reason was to try to make it for the sad Christmas almost that we had last year. And the fair and the markets are huge. It goes on all the way up to the wheel that you see in the distance over there. And that's where I'm trying to get to now. Huge stalls selling food, a stall that almost looked like wood cabins in the mountain, selling the sausages, the French fries, the pretzels, the Christmas beer, which is also a delight for the holiday season, coming from Eastern France, Alsace. I know that they also offer a traditional dish, a specialty dish that French people are crazy about. And I think it was voted French people's favorite dish this year. So I need to tell you about it. It's the raclette, which is almost like a fondue. I will try to get closer to show you what it is. It's a big cheese that's melting. And so they're getting the melted cheese and they pour it onto boiled potatoes And then you can add bacon. Usually what we do here in France is that we have it with cold cuts. So ham and prosciutto and different selection of cold cuts on the side, salad, and the cheese that you see, which is the mountain cheese coming from Savoie, the Alps mountains in France. And yeah, it's really delicious. I mean, it's a little stuffy and heavy, of course. It's not a dish that maybe not a dish that you want to have every night during the holiday season, but when it's cold, and it's also a great dish that we have when we invite people over, because it's really something that you want to. It's not a dish that you have when you're just two. It's more something that you do with friends and family when you gather a group of friends and you share a delicious raclette all together. Haha. Here it's at the rise that it gets super crowded and packed. Because of course all the youngsters and the kids, they want to have fun with those rides, as you can see.
Talking about favorite dishes, Julien, I do enjoy a raclette, but I have to say a tartiflette has to be one of my favorite dishes as well.
Which one? Sorry, dear, I couldn't hear.
The tartiflette.
Which was your favorite? Oh yeah, which is a different version. Yeah, and I think I can show you tartiflette. I think a little further down. Tartiflette is another. It's the same ingredients, so it's melted cheese. It's a different cheese though. It's not the raclette is the name of the dish and the name of the cheese, and then the tartiflette is it's a different cheese, Reblochon, product of the cheese of the mountain, and it's cooked in the oven. Potatoes, the cheese, the Reblochon, the bacon, the onions, and it's like a gratin. It's like a gratin, and it's also very good. Yeah, yeah. Always the little salad on the side to make it a little lighter, and yeah, that's another favorite dish of French people, the tartiflette in the winter.
And looking to your right, Julien, is that more games for the kids as well?
Yeah, that's right. Now all the rides, they're you see many kids. You see a lot of kids in the line for those rides. That's the train, the train fantôme, the phantom train, scary train. So yes, of course, and you see here kids having fun. The carousel. So that's why I was saying that a lot of families are taking the kids on the weekends, but even during the week and the weekdays, you see many families. So I'm getting to the wheel finally. Vera, if you have any questions, of course, feel free. Even though I'm trying to make my way through the crowd at the market, now it's opening up a little bit. It was really the ride.
I have no questions so far, or for the moment at least. But I did want to talk about too while we're walking towards the big wheel, the Ferris wheel. I'm sorry, is the idea in France about writing postcards to Père Noël or Santa Claus.
Yes.
Do you know the tradition, Julien?
Yes, of course. It's usually yes for the kids. That's also something that. Part of definitely part of the tradition. The parents, of course, help the kids write letters to Santa Claus, to the Père Noël. We call him Père Noël here in France, and yes, absolutely, cutting off. You know, the families, they they used to get, because now it's all changed with the internet, but you know, you magazine the post. And so remember being a kid, and I know kids in my family who still cut up the pieces, the pictures of the toys they want to get for Christmas, stick it on the letter sent to Santa Claus, to Père Noël. And yeah, definitely part of the tradition of the French Christmas, writing the kids' letter to Santa Claus.
And from what I heard is that the French post system actually responds to the letters as well.
That's right. They still had, and I think it's still in place, an office. I don't know if they answer to every letter, but I remember that they had, in fact, as you said, Vera, a certain number of people in charge of responding to the letters sent by all those kids, by thousands and thousands of kids from all over the country.
That definitely takes a lot of effort. I think I just looked it up, and apparently it was in place since 1962. That the post office has put in place a team to respond to postcards sent to Père Noël or
Oh, really? Well, I didn't see. I didn't know that. 1962.
Yes.
So this is the final part of the Christmas market. I will try to get to the wheel. Maybe get the last questions. Turn the camera back on to me. So
if anybody has any questions for Julien as he's making his way to the wheel, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I will make sure that Julien gets them, okay?
I will. I'm trying to see, Vera, you told us about the tartiflette, and so I'm trying to get toaster, a cooking tartiflette over there. Haha. Well, blocking the way, but I think I can make my way through. The giant pans, and you see that's the cheese, the reblochon. It's melting, so it just started here. And so they have the potatoes cooking and the bacon. And so, yeah, that's the tartiflette, a different version. You see the Louvre through the trees in the back. So we're actually just outside the Louvre here, really.
So I have a few questions for you, Julien. I'm sorry. First question is, does it snow around Christmas time in Paris?
It doesn't snow so much in Paris, really. When it snows in Paris, it snows more in January and February. Now, I just checked the weather forecast for next week, and it seems like there might be some snow towards Christmas. So who knows, maybe it happened before. I remember maybe a couple of years, I mean, a couple of Christmas where I saw snow, but it's not something usual for Paris. It's not something, I mean, Paris, other regions in France, you will find snow, especially in eastern France and in the mountains, of course.
And then another question, Julien, in the Tuileries or around the Tuileries gardens, is there a best place to get a hot chocolate in the area?
Yes, there is a great, of course, there is a very famous cafe, tea salon, Angelina. Again, maybe sounding a little touristy, but really the hot chocolate at Angelina is just out of this world. It's, I think, the best hot chocolate in the city. So really worth going. Also trying one of their delicious pastries. So to go along, the Mont Blanc is a delicacy. It's a very famous pastry at Angelina, which is made of hazelnut and vanilla and meringue. And Angelina is a great place also to stop in the afternoon.
And then another question is, are there any celebrations in France for January 6th, the Epiphany?
Yes, absolutely. We have a tradition. We actually have a pastry for French thing, I guess, on the pastry. So we have a pastry, which is a pie. It's a foliated paste pie. Like it's made of almond. There's an almond paste inside a crust, which is very crunchy, very crispy. We call it la galette des rois. It's the king's galette. It's really good. Uh, I think it's a great pastry to try. If you're in Paris around January the 6th, you will most likely have a galette. They sell the galette at every pastry shop in the city. So really something to try out uh, if you're in town beginning of January. La galette des rois. And they have the tradition. Yes, go ahead, Vera, but I'm pretty sure I know the question you will ask me.
I was going to say, just for those who are American and being from New Orleans, if you have tried king cake from New Orleans, it is definitely two different things. The galette de roi, the king's cake in France, is very butter and pastry thick, like a pie heavy, whereas king cake in New Orleans is more cinnamon, with more cinnamon in. Excuse me. So just to make a slight comparison, because we do king's cake in
And so the galette des rois is also a tradition of New Orleans, Vera? I didn't know that.
Yes, actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
As you mentioned earlier, Louisiana was, of course, French back in the day. And so we've carried over a few traditions, but we've also tweaked them slightly to have our own twist to them.
And do you have the same tradition that we have? I forgot to mention something really important, because when we buy the pastry, the galettes, and we share it with friends or family, there's a little something that's hiding in the galette. It used to be a coin. Now it's a tiny object in porcelain, in china, or in metal. And so basically you need to find, we call it la fève, which is the bead. It's a bead hiding inside the galette. And so whoever finds, and you cut the pie, the galette, into different pieces. Everybody is served with one piece, and you need to eat it until someone in the group or in the family finds the fève, the bead, and the person who finds the bead becomes the king and gets the crown. There's always it's a crown in paper. It's gold. It's painted in gold, but it's a crown that's always given to you when you buy the pastry at the pastry shop. And so yes, I just wanted to share this tradition because it's something that's the best would be to get invited at a French family, or friends in Paris, a friend's house in Paris to have the galette together. Really great day, the King's Day in Paris, and a great tradition.
We do have something similar, Julien, but unfortunately the US does not allow to objects in pastries anymore. So it's actually split apart. And it's not as beautiful as the porcelain figures are here. We have a plastic baby. So definitely
that's interesting, because it's true, it can be a little dangerous. You need to be careful. Everybody knows that there's something hiding in the galette. So usually as the galette, you take your time because you don't want to first to break a tooth on the bead. Yeah, that's right. The kids usually, you cheat on a lot of. Remember, the thing is that the galette is also one of those moments that when you have someone who cheat and opens the galette, the pie, to check where the bead is. But anyway, I just wanted to turn, if I can, it's here. Yes, I'm just outside the market now. And so I wanted to thank you all for joining this program. I hope you enjoyed the Christmas lights in Paris. I can also take another a question or a couple of questions while we're here. Just across from, I will turn, sorry, the wheel, just outside the wheel. The wheel is also, let me show you more of the wheel, because of course there's a lot of people lining to get on the wheel and get great views on Paris and on the Eiffel Tower. It's almost, what time is it now? Is it almost 7? It is past 7, but the Eiffel Tower is sparkling on the hour every hour. So another great way to enjoy the market, get on the wheel and get the incredible views on the city, and the city all lit up. All the beautiful monuments of Paris lit up, the Invalides, the Sacré-Cœur in Montmartre, and of course the Eiffel Tower. So back to you, Vera.
A question that's just come in: are cafes, restaurants, and museums open on Boxing Day, which is the 26th?
Yes, they are. Most of them will be closed on Christmas Day, 25th. The Louvre is closed, Versailles is closed, Orsay is closed. But on the 26th, which is Boxing Day, yes, museums reopen. And same for January the 1st, New Year. Museums are closed on the 1st, and they reopen on the 2nd of January.
Thank you, Julien. Well, I just also want to say, as we're waiting for a few more questions, thank you so much for everyone who is here and that joined us tonight. I will be sending out a recording of this live walk that we did within 24 hours. So if you want to revisit the walk, it will also have the links that I put in the chat. So if you want further research or want to look into things more, you'll have those available for 7 days after tomorrow's date. So if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, Julien, for your time. And thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. And have a wonderful holiday and a great new year. And we will see you all in the new year with a new live tour.
Merci. Et comme on dit en français, as we say in French, joyeux Noël et bonnes fêtes. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Take care. Bye. See you soon.